We're just 2 days shy of our joyous independence observance, and we've made long strides as a nation, having come a very far way to our 59th marble year. But much of our strides were made on the backs, the wit, the knowledge, and courage of some remarkable Jamaican figures. We'll reflect on the life and work of one of them today. Plus, it's World Breastfeeding Week, and we salute the idea of fostering healthy mothers, children, and the nation. We have more details on that in a bit. This is your Wednesday package of Jamaica Magazine, and I'm Theodore Henry, promising an information-filled read and that all things begin with today's news.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Wednesday, August 4. Government has launched its $800 million social pension program, the largest social protection initiative since the introduction of the PATH program. It targets vulnerable persons 75 years or older, giving them a guaranteed monthly income of $6,800. Eligible persons are those who are not currently in receipt of a pension, disability benefit, cash grant from PATH, or poor relief, as well as those who do not live in a government residential care facility.
The introduction of the new social pension will enable us to reduce income inequality and promote a better quality of life for Jamaica's older population, recognizing that many of these persons often have, as I've said, some or no community support. 2,000
payments have already been made to seniors under the social pension program. The payments were made on July 22. Under the program, each recipient receives $6,800 monthly. Labor and Social Security Minister Carl Samuda says the disbursal of payments is expected to increase to 10,000 recipients in August.
We are expecting that early next year, we would have, through this effort, cleaned up, as it were, the PATH list, so that we know exactly how many recipients are there. We know exactly how to project the funding necessary, and from there we will then begin to establish even better programs that will reach out to the poor and the needy.
Currently, 315 young people are out in the communities to identify participants for the program. In other news, over $400 million has been earmarked to undertake infrastructure repairs to roads, drains, and bridges in St. Anne. The commitment came from Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Everald Warmington, during a tour of the parish. He says roadworks will stretch across Runaway Bay to Brownstown, Hampstead to Mount Ararat, Islington to Bengal, Buck Salem, Cardiff Hall to Tripoli, and Priory to Bamboo. The minister says $45 million has also been approved to commence long-standing rehabilitation work on the breakaway in the Lewis community.
We have done a scoping for half of the road itself, and I hope to do the other half in the next financial year. So it'll be done in 2 phases because of the cost to complete the entire stuff. And you have 63 constituencies, so the other members of parliament, they have to be considered.
Other projects include $25 million to carry out urgent river training work at Sleepy Hollow near Bamboo, and $8 million to repair drains in sections of Bamboo.
We also have the gas station drain at Brownstone. We have the Brownstone Market drain also. They have a problem with that we looked at. You have the Barton Red Carpet Bridge that is undermined along with this Discovery Bay Bridge. And these are two other items that we'll have to look at very urgently to ensure that the problems that we have there are corrected and the citizens of the constituency will be protected along the way.
600,000 Jamaicans are targeted for inoculation with the coronavirus vaccines through the Private Sector Vaccination Initiative, PSVI. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health and Wellness, Dunstan Bryan, says the program will partner with the government to increase the number of persons who are vaccinated on the island. An agreement was signed recently with the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, and the Jamaica Manufacturers and Exporters Association.
They organize and develop their own efficiency model, and therefore they engage their own private practitioners to augment the public health system and also to engage the workforce that they collaborate with to inoculate the target of 600,000 doses being administered through this initiative.
Vaccine supplies will be provided by the Ministry of Health, with the private sector vaccination initiative utilizing the ministry's ComCare database system to track and register persons. The private sector will also be responsible for setting up their own vaccination sites. So far, the PSVI has created 5 sites with a successful trial on July 29, seeing 1,200 persons being vaccinated.
Our primary mandate as the PSVI is to increase the speed and penetration of vaccines in Jamaica, with a particular focus on the productive sector. And what we've been engaged in the last couple months is really sensitizing our teams that once vaccines arrive, we really have to get out in numbers and make sure that we get jabs. We get jabbed and we also get, so we get to a point where our workforce can kind of go back to that time where we could be in the workplace without fear, for our health and safety.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Health and Wellness is encouraging persons to report any adverse events after taking the COVID-19 vaccines. Director of Family Health Services in the ministry, Dr. Melody Ennis, says this may be done online through the ministry's website, moh.gov.jm, or in person.
We do recommend that persons come into us so that we can assess them, we can allay fears, and treat if necessary. We know that some of these side effects are what we expect, but we also know that we have a unique population in the Caribbean, and therefore we do want to report to the international community if there are any nuances within our population.
And finally, the Tourism Product Development Company Limited, TPDCO, has issued over 1,000 COVID-19 protocol compliance certificates to businesses within the industry. Director of Product Quality, Deanne Keating-Campbell, says the certificate demonstrates that establishments are carrying out operations in keeping with the COVID-19 safety requirements.
We have enough team members to go around to facilitate, to do the hand holding, and it is our objective to get Jamaica's tourism product safe and resilient, because actually the protocols enable us to be a resilient destination, and that is what we want out there, so that the world knows that they can come to Jamaica because our product is safe. And I think the statistics actually prove that in terms of the rate of infection within the sector is either nil or very, very, very low.
Mrs. Keating-Campbell was speaking at a webinar held as part of TPDCO's 25th anniversary activities on Saturday. She adds that there are general protocols entities must adhere to, as well as specific guidelines listed in the Ministry of Tourism's COVID-19 Health and Safety Protocols document, which is designed to support consistent standards across the industry. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Do you own land and need a title? Well, the National Land Agency, NLA, can help. Through the systematic land registration process, the NLA will assist residents to get titles in declared project areas across Jamaica. Systematic land registration is the methodical and orderly registration of parcels of land in a designated area known as systematic adjudication area. For further information on the systematic land registration process, including declared systematic adjudication areas, who can apply and the benefits, visit the National Land Agency's website at www.nla.gov.jm or email asknla@nla.gov.jm. The National Land Agency, one agency, one goal.
Prime Minister tackles violence, revises COVID-19 containment measures for July 27 to August 10, and praises clean sweep of women's 100-meter finals. You're watching Jamaica House Weekly. I'm Anthony Morgan.
As your Prime Minister, I'm very concerned by the frequency and increasing brutality of acts of violence being reported.
Prime Minister Andrew Holness, as he used his Emancipation Day message to call on Jamaicans to shun violence in all its forms. In the call for transformation, Mr. Holness says the state has led the charge with the recent passage of the Sexual Harassment Bill. A review of the Domestic Violence Bill is ongoing, and a thorough study of violence is being conducted with a view to reform government's policy framework response.
Let us all commit to protecting our freedom from violence and honor the struggles of our forebears by not inflicting on ourselves the violence the slave drivers inflicted on them. The chains are gone, but our mentality enslaves us. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. On behalf of the government of Jamaica and the people of Jamaica, I want to express our gratitude to the government of the United Kingdom and the people of the United Kingdom for this gift.
Prime Minister Holness was responding to the country receiving 300,000 doses of AstraZeneca vaccine from the United Kingdom. The shipment is the UK's first to any country globally under a commitment given by Prime Minister Boris Johnson during a Group of 7 G7 nations meeting in June. Mr. Holness says the vaccine provides a ray of hope for faster recovery and a return to normalcy as soon as possible.
With this number of vaccines, we could easily double the number of persons who are fully vaccinated, and we could do so rapidly. However, it will take the acceptance of every single Jamaican to come on board and get vaccinated.
Earlier in the week, Prime Minister Andrew Holness announced revised COVID-19 measures to cover July 27 to August 10. The updated containment plans were in response to what he calls a potential early stage of the third wave of COVID-19. As a result, curfew hours begin earlier, starting 8 p.m. nightly from Mondays to Saturdays and at 3 p.m. on Sundays and public holidays. Closing hours for establishments will generally be 1 hour before curfew begins. Beaches and rivers will operate from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. Mondays to Saturdays and 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Sundays and public holidays. Capacity limits have been reduced to 50% for places of worship, gyms, bars, restaurants, and other establishments.
We will continue to monitor the situation and determine the measures that will apply effective August 11. Our focus in crafting those measures will be on trying to control spread sufficiently to allow us to reopen schools to facilitate structured face-to-face learning in September. That is an imperative for the government and indeed for all the parents and children who have had a really very difficult time during this pandemic.
By Saturday, the Prime Minister, like the rest of Jamaica, was glued to his television screen as our women's 100-meter entrance made a clean sweep of the event at the Tokyo Olympics. Saturday's blistering performance saw Elaine Thompson-Herah winning gold and breaking a 33-year-old Olympic record while doing so. Shelley-Ann Fraser-Pryce copped the silver medal, while Sharika Jackson clocked the fastest third-place time in history to take the bronze medal. Mr. Holness lauded the Jamaican athletes for their history-making performance, which has cemented the island's prowess as an athletic powerhouse. Before that, the Prime Minister attended the regular monthly meeting of the National Security Council. High on Thursday's meeting agenda was government's consideration of expanding security measures for the southern crest of the Kingston metropolitan region, including Kingston Central and St. Andrews South. The region has seen a flare-up of violence, which the Prime Minister says will be met with additional security interventions to restore order. Mr. Holness also received updates from the Jamaica Defence Force, security plans for the Greater Bernard Lodge development, and the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, MOCA. The agency revealed that it had secured 11 lottery scamming convictions since the start of the year from the 117 cases now before the courts. On Friday, the Prime Minister was at Up Park Camp to participate in the Armed Forces Day Parade. 140 junior members of the force were presented with medals of honor for general service. Back at Jamaica House, the doors of the courtesy room were flung open to welcome the contestants in the 2021 Miss Jamaica Festival Queen competition. Mr. Holness encouraged the contestants to give off their best and to continue their work to make Jamaica the place of choice even after the competition has ended. And that's it for Jamaica House Weekly. Be sure to join us for more of the news stories coming out of the office of the Prime Minister.
It's absolutely critical that we receive the vaccines. You will see hospitalizations and indeed deaths likely come down. And so there is a lot of value to be gained by getting as many vulnerables on board as possible. So tell your mothers, tell your aunts, listen out for yourselves if you're over 60 and take the vax, because the vax is what will help you to guard against the COVID virus and indeed help your relatives, your friends, those who you come in contact with for the same benefit.
The name Norman Washington Manley is one known across all households in Jamaica, and rightly so, as he is one of our nation's heroes and a contributor to the development of independent Jamaica. Here's a bit more on the life and work of this distinguished and celebrated figure in our island's history.
The national flag flies proudly beside the childhood home of the Right Excellent Norman Washington Manley, symbolizing his status as a national hero and his contribution to Jamaica's journey to nationhood. His involvement in the country's campaign to independence was rooted in his resentment of the lack of rights for the poor working class.
He was a man who devoted much of his life to looking after what we call the underdog. That was one of the things which drove him relentlessly as a political leader.
And his advocacy, which had begun years earlier, took on a more defined role when he rose to lead the newly formed People's National Party in 1938.
We have to see Norman Manley's role in 1938 as a period in which he demonstrated his capacity for reconciliation and negotiation.
As a statesman, Manley refused to be satisfied with the universal adult suffrage in 1944. He had bigger dreams, among them to see Jamaica take full control of its own affairs. So he became deeply involved in the move to develop a new constitution and the fight for full independence from Britain.
Norman Manley believed that the organization of the people in political parties would be the instrument the vehicle through which Jamaica would be able to decolonize itself from the dominance of British rule.
He tried to get a constitution that would reflect both the aspirations of the Jamaican people, but would also allow for that system to operate in a harmonious way that would ensure the full participation of the citizenry consistent with a parliamentary democracy.
As leader of the People's National Party, he got his first taste of victory in 1955 when Jamaicans went to the polls.
It was a vindication of all that he had campaigned for. He regarded it as a mandate to put in place programs that would result in the social transformation and the economic growth of Jamaica.
The national hero and chief minister left an extensive legacy. In addition to his role in obtaining universal adult suffrage in 1944, N.W. Manley also founded the National Workers' Union in 1952. 2 years later, in 1954, he led efforts to secure executive powers for elected representatives. It was also under Norman Manley's leadership that Jamaica achieved full internal self-government in 1959, a precursor to political independence that would come 3 years later. With Manley at the helm, the government established the Bank of Jamaica, the Development Bank of Jamaica, and the College of Arts, Science and Technology CAST, now the University of Technology.
And among the indelible contributions which he has made to the entire Jamaican society was the granting of 2,000 free places in secondary schools during the 1950s.
His legacy also includes the Small Business Loan Board, the Jamaica Welfare Limited, now called the Social Development Commission, the Foundation of Youth Service, and the success in securing land tenure for farmers. Manley's dedicated service to Jamaica earned him the Order of National Hero, the highest award to be bestowed on a citizen. Norman Washington Manley led a busy and public life in service to his country. We know he was an athlete, soldier, and brilliant lawyer, but those who knew him admired him for other reasons. Undoubtedly, Norman Washington Manley was devoted to excellence, the fulfillment of purpose, and the promotion of human dignity.
He gave us a confidence in ourselves, a belief that there was nothing that Jamaicans could not achieve, no level of performance beyond their grasp.
Revered as the father of the nation, Manley was an inspiring leader who touched the lives of Jamaicans home and abroad, making an indelible mark internationally and in the region. In his final speech in 1969, he asserted that the mission of his generation was to accomplish political power for the black masses of the people from which he sprang. Mission accomplished, he declared. And having accomplished his mission, Norman Washington Manley died on September 2, 1969.
Informing.
Jamaica today confirmed its first imported case of coronavirus.
Educating.
If you follow the recommended procedures, it is highly likely that you will not get the disease.
Going beyond to keep you informed and connected.
Welcome to Get the Facts.
Even through the pandemic. Helping you stay safe while we protect ourselves. Dependable. Impactful. Accurate.
This is your JIS News.
Credible. Trustworthy. Every day, everywhere. Serving our customers proudly.
Today, bodies such as the World Health Organization are calling on governments to recognize and act on the promotion of breastfeeding and to heighten knowledge within the community. This is a very important move for any nation because the truth is, hindering this natural practice has many implications, and not just for the babies, but for the mothers too. Here are some reasons to promote this move. Reason number one, ideal nutrition. Breast milk has an ideal mix of vitamins, protein, and fat needed for the growth of babies, all wrapped up in a form that they can easily digest. Reason number 2, breast milk offers an added layer of protection. The milk contains antibodies that help fight off bacteria and viruses, lowering a baby's risk of having allergies and asthma. Reason number 3, saving the children. According to the World Health Organization, increasing breastfeeding to significant levels could save more than 700,000 lives every year, the majority being children under 6 months. Reason number 4, saving mothers. It is estimated that increased breastfeeding could avert 20,000 maternal deaths each year due to breast cancer. Reason number 5, lowering risk of diseases. Studies have shown that breastfeeding decreases the risk of mothers developing breast cancer, ovarian cancer, type 2 diabetes, and heart disease. 5 reasons. Play your part by helping organizations and governments to promote healthy habits and practices. Essentially, this is just one way that you can help Jamaica to become the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
Practice good hygiene by washing your hands frequently using soap and water. Here's how you should do it while conserving water. Turn on the tap to wet your hands, then turn off the pipe. Lather your hands and the tap with soap. Turn on the tap and wash your hands, back, front, and in between fingers. Use some of the water to wash off the tap, then turn it off. Dry your hands with disposable hand towels. If you don't have running water, use a hand rub containing 62% or more alcohol. If hand sanitizers are not available, rubbing alcohol, Dettol, white rum, or household bleach will do the trick. And if all else fails, let hand washing and the handling of potable water be a 2-person event. Each person will take turns pouring and washing hands with sitting water. Now is a good time to consider installing a tap on your containers to reduce the risk of water contamination. Faucets can be easily attached to drums, buckets, or 5-gallon water bottles. And to ensure that the outside of the containers are clean when recapping, disinfect it with hand rub containing alcohol that's 62% or more. The 5 R's of water conservation are also necessary to practice. Reduce water wastage by investing in water-saving devices. Reuse water at least twice before discarding. Replace leaking pipes, faucets, and other plumbing equipment. Recycle wastewater and use it for gardening, car washing, or cleaning of public spaces. And reclaim water through rainwater harvesting. We all must play our part to ensure there's water to combat the coronavirus and stave off prolonged drought.
Today proved to be quite a journey, right? And guess what? It all picks up again tomorrow at the same time. More Jamaica to fuel your day and your conversations. But until then, you can take us through the rest of your evening by watching this and other episodes and features on the JIS YouTube channel. Also, visit the JIS Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter pages for much more information. From all of us here at the JIS, I'm Theodore Henry. See you soon.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.